Breaking Bad. I'm starting things off with a slam dunk, an easy one that pretty much everyone can agree with. I think we all know Breaking Bad is one of the best TV shows of all time. Every single season of the show is extremely well plotted. I love how it uses a Western aesthetic, except replace cowboys with meth dealers. Breaking Bad is probably the best show I've ever seen. I know it's a crazy hot take, so it goes into the top tier. Game of Thrones. Now this is an example where the medium of television truly shines, because Game of Thrones is so massive and sprawling. It's pretty much a collection of like 10 to 15 different storylines. You truly do need about 80 to 90 hours of screen time to actually tell this story. And as we all know, the first 4 seasons of the show were absolutely cooking. The A plot, the B plot, the C plot, the D plot, pretty much go down the entire alphabet. All of it was just great. Well, maybe not all of it. There were a few subplots that were kind of lame. I was never a big fan of the Bran storyline. That was always kind of boring. But for the most part, they were just catching lightning in a bottle with every single subplot going on. This was just truly special. The debate over Game of Thrones pretty much boils down to how much does a terrible ending ruin the legacy of the entire show? If you're an optimist, you'll say that, well, the first 4 seasons were so good, even if it doesn't end on a good note, you can still go back and appreciate how great the early seasons were. Whereas other people are going to say, no, the entire thing is ruined because it was never building up to anything. It all fell apart at the end. Personally speaking, I'm more in the camp where I can still appreciate the early seasons of Game of Thrones. I can't put it into the best I've ever seen tier because the ending was so bad, but it's still binge-worthy in my opinion. House of Cards. So this is definitely one of the more well-made and well-acted TV shows I've seen. Pretty sure the first episode was actually directed by David Fincher, and this is one of the first prestige TV shows that went straight to streaming. With that being said, I do think that this show aged pretty horribly because, number one, real-life politics is way crazier than anything that happened in House of Cards. I'm sure at the time that this came out, people were thinking like, wow, can you imagine if Washington, D.C. was this crazy? Like, that would just be so insane. But then if you watch House of Cards now, you're just thinking, like, I kind of wish it was that chill. I wish things were that tame. And number two, I have complete Washington, D.C. fatigue at this point. I just really have zero interest in watching a fictional TV show about American politicians. That just does not sound appealing whatsoever. So even if the show is kind of well made, it's just, I have zero desire to ever come back and watch it. I think I only watched the first 2 seasons. I would say that they're solid. They'll put them into the solid tier. The Office, pretty much everyone's favorite comfort sitcom. Who doesn't love The Office? Obviously, it's a hilarious show. The only real issue I even had with it a little bit, and this is like a minor nitpick, is that all of the characters kind of get flanderized as the show goes on. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of where over the course of a TV show, the writers start really focusing in on one specific character trait, and they kind of make that the entire gimmick of the character. Because if you watch the early seasons of The Office, yeah, these characters are kind of wacky, they're a little zany, but they still feel believable. Like, they feel like these could be your actual coworkers. But then by the end of the show, they all just feel like these cartoon characters. It's a little bit silly, it loses that relatability factor, but I mean, it doesn't stop being funny. I mean, I don't know, maybe in the way later seasons after Steve Carell left, I stopped watching after that point. I mean, yeah, the show probably fell off, but The Office had such a good run for such a long time. Even the weaker episodes of The Office are still really funny and just a comfort watch. So yeah, The Office goes into the binge-worthy tier. Love is Blind, and yes, I'm including reality TV shows here because this thing is actually really good as an unintentional comedy. I only watched 1 season of it. I don't remember what season it was. This show is actually kind of hilarious because the premise of the show, if you haven't heard about it, is they get all these contestants on and they blind date each other for a few episodes and they have these conversations and then they end up getting engaged to each other without ever seeing each other in person. And then it's like the 3rd or 4th episode or something, they finally meet in person. And it's so funny because there's like these 2 people, they would have like the most romantic blind dates ever, but then they meet in person and you can just see the disappointment on their face. It's so funny. It just leads to all of this crazy drama. It's absolute trash. It's a garbage TV show, but it's a guilty pleasure. It's honestly worth watching just for the laughs. I mean, you can skip it. You're not missing out on that much. I would have to put this into entertaining trash. Trailer Park Boys. This is a show that jumped the shark and completely fell off once it got bought out by Netflix later on. They started doing all these celebrity cameos and stuff. I remember at one point Snoop Dogg showed up for like half a season. The show kind of lost its soul later on, but when you go back and watch the earlier seasons, it's one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. All of the characters are just these absolute troglodyte petty criminals. It's so funny. Like, they are some of the funniest characters. Ricky and Bubbles are definitely some of my favorite characters, but in my opinion, the character that made me laugh the most was actually Leahy. Just such a funny character. If you haven't seen Trailer Park Boys, do yourself a favor and at least watch the first season. I love Trailer Park Boys. This goes into the binge-worthy tier. Succession. Now, this is a show I really wish I would have actually stuck through it. I watched the first season and I started watching season 2, and I don't know why I stopped watching it. I kind of just got sidetracked and started doing other stuff. But the first season was really great. And I will say this too about the show. There was one joke. I think it's like towards the end of season 1. Literally the hardest I have ever laughed at a TV show in my entire life. If you've seen the show, you probably know what I'm talking about. There's this whole bit that was built up throughout the entire show, and then the punchline hits towards the end. It is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I was laughing for like 5 minutes straight. I absolutely, for that alone, I have to give Succession a lot of props. I really need to finish the show at some point. For now, I got to put into the really good, but I didn't finish it. Survivor. Now, reality TV has a reputation as being kind of trashy, kind of a guilty pleasure, but I truly do think that Survivor is a genuinely good TV show. I have a lot of respect for Survivor. I think this is the gold standard of reality TV, because I think, for number one, it has a really cool premise. So it's all these people going to some remote location in the wilderness, but it's not even really about the survival, because every single episode, one person gets voted off by the other people on the show, and the goal is to be the last person standing. And it just leads to some really cool social dynamics and people like strategizing and forming alliances and backstabbing each other. It's really fun to watch. My favorite season is Tocantins, I think it's called, specifically because there's this guy named Coach on the show. He's just one of those people where you're like, where did they find this guy? He's like one of the most bizarre and eccentric human beings I've ever seen on a reality TV show, but absolutely golden casting. It's a very well edited TV show, very well presented. They have some really cool establishing shots in these locations they go to. I actually respect Survivor. I'm putting this into binge-worthy. Big Brother. This is Survivor's trashy cousin, because it's a very similar format for a TV show where it's like the social strategy game where people vote each other off every single week. But Big Brother doesn't have the cool locations going for it. It's filmed in this really tacky house, and they wear these costumes, and they have these goofy sound effects in the edit. And overall, it's just an extremely cheesy, tacky version of Survivor. And I will admit, it is kind of a guilty pleasure. During the 2020 lockdown, that's when I discovered this show, and I watched a few of the older seasons. I mean, it's not a show I would really recommend to anyone, because honestly, it's kind of terrible. But there are some moments here and there that are kind of fire. You have to get past the barrier of how cringe the show is. Once you kind of start to get into the game of it, it is more entertaining, but it's not a very good show. I would definitely recommend Survivor, and if you get really into Survivor, maybe check out Big Brother, but it's kind of trashy. I do kind of like it though, so I'm going to put it into entertaining trash. Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the only reason I even watched this show is because I watched it with my siblings, and this is one of the most forgettable TV shows I have ever seen. There's only one scene in the entire show that I actually still have a vivid memory of, and it was that scene where there's like a 10-year-old girl running through the forest and she's being chased by an Imperial officer. It's just so goofy because you can tell that she was running super slowly, and like this grown-ass man, he's chasing this little girl, and you can just see the actor, you can tell he's probably going at 20% speed. It was such a goofy scene, but it was funny. Like, it made me laugh. So actually, that's my favorite scene in the entire series because of how stupid it was. Don't remember anything else about this other than it was being lame. Oh yeah, no, I think Ice Cube's son was in it. But yeah, I mean, this was just a boring show. I gotta put this in the mid. House of the Dragon. I was definitely pretty into this show during season 1. I think part of that is because I love George R. R. Martin's universe that he created so much. I think it's so cool. He's a genius. But House of the Dragon is just Game of Thrones, but it doesn't have the magic. It doesn't have the really interesting characters. It doesn't have the witty dialogue that George R. R. Martin wrote in the books. It's just kind of a flat version of Game of Thrones. The production value is amazing. Like, everything about it looks great. It's got great sets and costumes. I mean, yeah, some of the VFX are not the best, but for a TV show, it's really good. Everything about this is prestige quality. It's just kind of flat. And season 2, I thought was really boring. I have zero hype for season 3 whatsoever. Like, I truly don't even care about this show anymore, which is a shame because I love Game of Thrones. I mean, I did like season 1 enough that I'm still willing to put this into the solid tier, and I hope that the show can rebound. I think this has potential to maybe get more interesting, but yeah, the problem is just the writing. Like, the writing is just not that good in this show. Parks and Recreation. In my opinion, this is actually kind of neck and neck with The Office. If I had to pick between the two, I probably would go with The Office just because I do think it is quite a bit funnier than Parks and Rec. But the thing that Parks and Rec has going for it is that I think the characters are a lot more likable and relatable and more fleshed out compared to The Office. In The Office, it almost feels like a bunch of cartoon characters, where in Parks and Rec, I feel like it actually does have some genuine character moments, and you really do start to care about these characters at a certain point. I mean, I don't think it's the greatest TV show ever made or anything like that, but it is a really nice comfort watch. I'm putting Parks and Recreation into binge-worthy. Arrested Development. I think the first 2 seasons of this show are pound for pound one of the funniest sitcoms I've ever seen. This thing is just constantly hitting you with these really clever jokes. A lot of it is laugh out loud funny. I think it is just a really great show. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it in a very long time. If I rewatch it now, I'm not 100% sure if it would still be as funny as when I watched it back in the day, but at the time I watched it, this thing was cracking me up every single episode, pretty much the entire time. The show definitely falls off super hard, I think at like season 4 or something like that, because the show originally got canceled and then it got bought out by Netflix and they tried to renew it, and the show just kind of fell off. It didn't have the sauce anymore. But for those first 2 or 3 seasons, this thing was just an absolute treasure. I'm putting this into binge-worthy. The Circle. This is a reality TV show that has kind of the same concept as Survivor and Big Brother. It's one of those social strategy reality shows, except the gimmick with this show is they don't actually interact with each other in person. All of the communication on this show is over text, and honestly, it just doesn't hit nearly the same when they're not actually interacting face to face. It's just all over text, and they do a really good job editing the show, and that is what kind of saves it. It's just not as exciting or dramatic compared to Survivor, but it's still kind of watchable. I'll put it into the entertaining trash. The Bachelor, and this is the first show I think of when I think of trashy reality TV, because the entire concept of this show is so dystopian and stupid. I mean, it's like with any reality TV show, you can't actually take it seriously because it's very manufactured. Even the good reality TV shows like Survivor, it's all manufactured. At the end of the day, it's just entertainment. You can't really take it that seriously. Yes, The Bachelor is incredibly stupid, but it's also so unintentionally funny. And actually, I don't even know if it's unintentional. Like, the producers know what they're doing. They always go out of their way to cast some weirdos and unhinged people. And yeah, it is kind of funny to watch it. Like, it just is. And it always makes me laugh every single time. So I got to put The Bachelor into entertaining trash. The Mandalorian. I have kind of mixed feelings about this show because a lot of people have said that this is the best Star Wars thing produced since the original trilogy. At least a lot of people were saying that at the time. I'm pretty sure people now probably say that about Andor, but I mean, I can understand why people love The Mandalorian so much. It's well made. It's got solid production value. It's got likable characters. It's got all of these things that people love about Star Wars. But I mean, I don't know. I just had too much Star Wars fatigue by the time this thing came out, especially now. And they just announced a Mandalorian movie. I have absolutely zero interest in watching it. I just really don't care anymore. The Mandalorian's fine. It's solid. It's just like, I don't know. I just don't really care that much. I'm kind of apathetic towards it, but I'll still put it into the solid tier because it is a well-made show. I can respect it. It's just, I lost interest. Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I used to be obsessed with the show. I'll admit I have not kept up with it. I've only seen maybe like the first 5 or 6 seasons or something like that, but I used to religiously watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia. This show is it has a special place in my heart. This thing has made me laugh so many times, and I thought it was great even from the start, even season 1 when it was still kind of figuring itself out. But then as soon as Danny DeVito got brought on, the show just reached this new stride. I think it is one of the funniest TV shows I've seen. Every character is an absolutely horrible person. They're just a complete narcissist. But it's just so funny. They just find all these different scenarios where they can take these horrible, selfish characters and turn it into these hilarious situations. It's just one of the funniest TV shows. I gotta put this into the best I've seen tier. The Last of Us. I'm a huge video game person, and somehow I never got around to playing the game. But after watching The Last of Us TV show, I definitely now understand why the game is so beloved. And apparently, from what I've heard, the game actually tells the story even better than the TV show does, and that's not even including the gameplay. So yeah, I definitely got to get around to playing the game at some point. But as for the TV show, this is a video game adaptation I can get behind because the story between Joel and Ellie, it's undeniable. It is just a really good story. I will say this, I haven't seen season 2. I only watched season 1. I got to get around to finishing the show at some point, but from what I did see, The Last of Us is really good. I got to put in the really good, but I didn't finish tier. Andor. This is a show that bucks the trend of Star Wars fatigue because they actually did something interesting with the Star Wars universe. They went into depth into the rebellion and the Empire in a way that none of the movies ever have. This is a Star Wars show that actually justifies its existence. A lot of these other Star Wars shows, it just feels like filler slop, just capitalizing on the IP and giving you more of the same stuff that never really actually adds anything to the universe, doesn't actually expand on the mythology or the themes of Star Wars. That is not true for Andor at all. I genuinely think that anyone could get into Andor. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan, it just is a genuinely good show. And I wish every Star Wars project was treated with that level of care. So far, I've only been able to watch the first season of Andor. I really need to catch up on season 2. So for now, I got to put it into really good, but I didn't finish. But I assume that by the time I finish watching this, it could easily go up into the higher tiers. All right, that's it.